After all the noise around Bad Bunny's calling everyone in America as Americans, the internet did what it does best. Exploded. Because of course, someone has to be offended. That's the fucking internet, baby. Americans got offended for being deprived of the exclusive claim to the word American. Canadians got offended too for being mentioned at all. And Argentines got offended for being placed in the same continental sentence as the rest of Latin America. In other words, as we say here, la misma monda de always. I've been avoiding this topic for a long time because it's messy, right? And because it's much more complicated than some people online pretend it is. So let's try to turn this messy into Ronaldo. First uncomfortable truth: the world is not homogeneous. Wow, what a surprise! And geography is not universal either. Well, there are at least two major continental models in the world. While the first one claims that America is just one continent, the other one claims that it's two, North America and South America. Why? Because there are two completely different tectonic plates. In some educational system, Europe is a continent, whereas in others, calling Europe a continent might get you politely corrected, or not so politely. You'd rather be sent back to school or a mental asylum. Because for them, Europe is just part of a bigger continent called Eurasia, which is just one big tectonic plate or a continent. So before we even reach the language, we already disagree on the map. And if we can't even agree on the map, why are you so surprised we can't agree on the name? Because as human beings, we were designed to make problems out of nowhere. Now linguistically. Well, actually linguistically it's much easier, right? Because every single language has its own conventions. When I speak Spanish, for example, I do not use the term americano to refer to somebody from the United States, because in Spanish, traditionally, you use this one, americano, to refer to somebody from the continent, right? Because for somebody from the United States, the Spanish language has come up with the special term estadounidense, o gringo, depending on. So, do I feel offended by switching the term? Not at all, right? Because when you switch the language, you have to accept the rules and the conventions of that language. That's it. Now in English, when we say American in English, we overwhelmingly refer to somebody from the United States, right? Yes, technically, it could also apply to somebody from Americas, anyone, but in real life, barely, let's be honest. And it's not just English. German, Dutch, Scandinavian languages, Russian, Ukrainian, etc., etc., etc. In many of them, the equivalent of American is strongly associated with somebody from the United States. Is it good? Is it bad? Linguistically, neither. It's neutral. It's just a convention. You can try to change it, of course, but usually it doesn't last long. Language is not a moral system. It's a communication tool. It's a means of communication, right? And if I say American in English, people understand that I'm talking about somebody from the United States. Whereas if I say the Americano in Spanish, people understand something different, right? Communication successful, mission accomplished. So all those shenanigans around the word American in English, it's all about politics. It's not about the language. It's not about linguistics. Nope. For example, look, in Spanish, oftentimes people refer to somebody from the UK as inglés, like es inglés, sos inglés, and so on. Whereas, technically, it's incorrect because Britain, it's not just England, Hollandaise, for example, to refer to somebody from the Netherlands. Whereas Holland is just one region in the country. So again, technically completely wrong, functionally perfect, because language, any language, cares about being understood, not about winning the geography competition. Now politically, ooh, that's where it gets fun, because as soon as you say politics, you know you're fucked, right? Because politics turns vocabulary into ideology all the fucking time. Catalans don't like being called Spanish, some Latin Americans don't like being called Latin Americans and prefer like Hispanics or Hispano-Americans. And of course, Argentinians, they do not like being called Latinos at all because culturally they feel more like Europeans. And then there is Colombia, where people sometimes like to talk about Spain as if it were a complete foreign invader. Something like they came, conquered and left. But history is rarely that simple, right? Because those Spaniards, those mystical Spaniards who came here, they didn't magically teleport back to Madrid. They actually stayed, mixed, they built families, and they became part of the population. So when someone says they came to steal from us, there is always one quiet and uncomfortable question. Who exactly is they? Well, identity is selective memory, innit? We love to choose which part of history we belong to and which part we prefer to outsource. And meanwhile, the rest of the world just shrugs and keeps talking. Well, countries rarely control what others call them. Germany is actually Deutschland, yet you don't care about that. Greece is actually Ellada, probably you haven't even heard this name before. And Georgia, in reality, is Sakartvelo. And you are likely to forget about this like in 5 minutes. And yet it's completely fine because a language evolves socially, not diplomatically. Yeah, there is no special committee asking for a special permission. It just happened. To sum it up, this debate will never end because linguistically there is no problem whatsoever. Words are not correct because they're morally superior or something like that. They are correct because they are conventionally accepted. Politically, however, everything becomes symbolic, and symbols do change with the political climate. Today it's American, and tomorrow it's something else. The function of the language is communication, the function of the politics is mobilization, and when you mix the two, you get your comment section on fire. So, is American right or wrong? Well, it depends. It depends on the language, it depends on the map, it depends on the agenda, and that's exactly why this dispute keeps coming back.